Have you ever found yourself doing all the right things? Eating more vegetables, cutting back on sugar, moving your body each day. Yet somehow the scale doesn't move? Or worse, it goes up. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And the truth is, it may not be about what you're eating or even how active you are. It may have something to do with something you're not even fully conscious of. Your sleep. That quiet, invisible part of your day, those hours when your body is supposed to be resting and restoring, could be the very thing holding your progress back. In today's video, we're going to explore why inadequate sleep can quietly and powerfully sabotage your weight loss efforts after 60. We'll look at what happens inside your body when you're not sleeping well. We'll uncover the risks that come with poor rest. And most importantly, we'll talk about what you can do, practically, gently, and starting right now to get your sleep back on your side. Let's begin with something most people never think about: hormones. How sleep disrupts appetite hormones. When you don't get enough sleep, your body starts sending out mixed signals. Two hormones play a big part here: ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is what tells your brain you're hungry. Leptin, on the other hand, is the hormone that says, "I'm full. I've had enough." Now here's the twist. When you're sleep deprived, your ghrelin levels go up, and your leptin levels go down. That means you feel hungrier, even if your body doesn't need the food. And not just any hunger. It tends to be the kind that makes you crave quick-fix energy foods, like sweets and refined carbs. You might wake up reaching for toast and jam or cookies mid-morning, not because you're weak-willed, but because your hormones are out of sync. This happened to Elaine, who's 67 and lives alone in Arizona. She had been working with a nutritionist, tracking her meals and staying active. But she kept noticing intense cravings mid-morning, especially after rough nights. Her nutritionist eventually asked about her sleep, and that's when the light bulb went on. Once Elaine focused on improving her sleep habits, the cravings eased, and she felt more in control again. So what can you do? Start by simply tracking your sleep. Nothing fancy, just a notebook by the bed. Jot down when you go to sleep, when you wake up, and how rested you feel. Then try to aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's the sweet spot for most adults over 60. Also, take a look at your evening meals. Try not to eat too close to bedtime. Give your body time to digest before lying down. It makes a bigger difference than most people expect. Sleep affects how your body uses sugar. Let's talk about something else sleep impacts: your insulin sensitivity. When you don't sleep enough, your cells become less responsive to insulin, the hormone that helps your body absorb glucose from your bloodstream. What does that mean? It means sugar lingers in your blood longer. Instead of being used for energy, it's more likely to be stored as fat. And that's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. Especially as we age. Older adults naturally experience some metabolic slowdown, and sleep deprivation can make that worse. Take Robert, for example. He's 71 and had been borderline pre-diabetic for years. His doctor noticed that his morning blood sugar readings were unusually high, even though his diet was stable. After some conversation, it turned out Robert had been waking up several times a night and falling asleep late. His doctor suggested a sleep hygiene routine. Within a few weeks of more consistent rest, his glucose readings began to drop. He didn't change his diet, just his sleep. That's how powerful rest can be. So how do you support healthy insulin function through sleep? First, establish a regular bedtime and wake time, even on weekends. That helps your internal clock stay stable. Second, make your sleep space inviting. Cool, quiet, dark. Use blackout curtains if light leaks in. Consider a white noise machine if sounds disrupt you. And perhaps most importantly, avoid screens at least 1 hour before bed. TVs, phones, tablets, they all emit blue light that suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to rest. When you sleep less, you move less. It might seem obvious, but it's worth saying. When you're tired, you're less likely to move. And movement is essential, not just for burning calories, but for maintaining muscle balance, mood, and even memory. But when sleep is poor, your body feels heavy. Your mind feels foggy. You might skip your morning walk. You might sit longer. You might feel like you're dragging through the day. That's exactly what happened with Diane, who's 64 and usually loves her morning stroll around the park. But after a few weeks of interrupted sleep, due to joint pain and occasional nighttime worries, she found herself skipping those walks more and more. And as the walks stopped, her energy dipped even lower. The less she moved, the worse she slept. It became a cycle. The good news is even light movement helps, especially after a poor night. If you didn't sleep well, don't give up on the day. Just adjust your expectations. Maybe you don't take a brisk walk, but you stretch on the porch. Maybe you do a gentle Tai Chi video. Maybe you take a slow stroll through your garden. That movement not only helps you feel better, it helps reset your body's internal clock. It tells your brain, we're awake now, and we'll be ready for sleep later. Even 10 minutes matters. Sleep and movement are deeply connected. The more you support one, the more the other starts to follow. Where do we go from here? So far, we've looked at 3 powerful ways poor sleep can undermine your weight loss goals after 60. It changes your hunger hormones. It interferes with how your body handles sugar. And it robs you of the energy you need to stay active. But we're not done yet. There are still 2 more hidden forces that can quietly block your progress. Forces that creep in when your rest is short and your nights are restless. They affect your stress levels, your emotions, and even the decisions you make about food. Let's keep going and uncover how you can take your power back, gently, one restful night at a time. So far, we've seen how poor sleep can quietly shift your hormones, slow down your metabolism, and drain your energy for movement. But the story doesn't end there. There are 2 more hidden ways inadequate sleep can get in the way of your weight loss journey, especially after 60, and they have less to do with your body, and more to do with how you feel, how you think, and how you respond to the world around you. Let's keep going. When you sleep poorly, stress stays high and so does cortisol. There's something that happens when you don't sleep enough. Your body stays alert, stays on guard, almost like it thinks something dangerous is happening. That's your stress system staying switched on. And when that happens, a hormone called cortisol begins to rise and stay high. Now, cortisol isn't bad on its own. It's part of your body's natural response to challenge. But when it stays elevated day after day, it starts doing damage. One of the things cortisol does is tell your body to hold on to fat, especially around your belly. And that kind of belly fat, known as visceral fat, isn't just stubborn. It's the kind that increases your risk for heart disease, diabetes, and inflammation. This is something Margaret, age 70, discovered after months of frustration. She had been doing yoga, eating whole foods, drinking water, and avoiding sweets. But no matter what she did, her midsection stayed the same. Her doctor suggested she begin tracking her sleep, especially how often she was waking up. Turns out, her sleep was shallow and frequently interrupted. Once she started taking steps to create a more peaceful evening routine, things began to shift. Not overnight, but slowly and surely. The tension eased. Her cravings softened. And she began noticing small but real changes in her waistline. So what can you do if you suspect cortisol might be playing a role? Start in the evening. Make space for calm, not just physically but emotionally. Turn off upsetting news after dinner. Avoid heavy conversations late at night. If worries tend to swirl in your head, try writing them down in a notebook, giving them a place to rest outside your mind. Light a candle. Put on soft instrumental music. Give yourself permission to wind down without guilt or pressure. Even small rituals like gently massaging your hands with lotion or sipping a caffeine-free tea can signal to your body that it's safe to let go. And if you find yourself waking up at 2 or 3 a.m., try not to panic. Often, that anxiety about not sleeping only makes things worse. Instead, stay in bed, breathe slowly, and remind yourself that rest, even without deep sleep, still has value. Cortisol responds to calm, and you can teach your body how to find it again. Lack of sleep weakens motivation and decision-making. Let's imagine this. It's 7 a.m. You had a restless night, barely 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Your eyes are heavy, your body feels slow, and you're standing in front of the fridge. Now imagine the version of you that slept a solid 8 hours. Calm, focused, balanced. Which version is more likely to reach for a healthy breakfast? Which version is more likely to skip it altogether? Or grab something sugary just to feel awake? This is what poor sleep does. It doesn't just change your body, it affects your decisions. When you're tired, your brain seeks quick rewards. That means comfort foods, easy choices, shortcuts. Willpower takes a back seat. You're less likely to go for that walk, prep that salad, or say no to second helpings. Helen, who's 66 and trying to lose weight steadily, shared something similar. She noticed that after just 2 nights of bad sleep, she felt foggy and gave in to pastries at breakfast, even though she wasn't particularly hungry. It felt like I was watching myself make the choice, she said. But I couldn't stop it. That's not failure. That's fatigue. And it's entirely human. So how can we gently protect ourselves when sleep has been poor? One helpful approach is to make key decisions earlier in the day, when your mind is still relatively fresh. If you wake up groggy, try having a small protein-rich snack ready, something that stabilizes blood sugar and keeps your energy even. A boiled egg, some yogurt, a spoonful of nut butter on toast. Prepare simple meals ahead of time, so that you're not relying on energy you may not have later in the day. Keep water within reach. Step into sunlight as soon as you can. It helps reset your internal clock and gently lifts your mood. And most importantly, give yourself grace. Tiredness isn't weakness. It's a signal. It means your body needs care, not criticism. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. For so many people, especially women over 60, sleep feels like something that just slips away. It's not always easy to fix. Hormonal changes, medications, pain, loneliness, nighttime anxiety, they all have a role. But sleep is still worth fighting for. Because when you sleep better, everything becomes easier. You crave less. You think more clearly. You feel stronger. You move more. You begin to trust your body again. You begin to feel like yourself again. And that's what we're really talking about here, not just weight loss, not just numbers on a scale, but the return of energy, of calm, of clarity, of confidence. You're not too old. It's not too late. And your body hasn't given up on you. It may just be asking for rest. The kind of deep, healing rest that restores not just your weight, but your sense of balance, peace, and purpose. One small change at a time. So where do you begin? Start small. Tonight, dim the lights a little earlier. Turn off the screen half an hour before bed. Sip a warm tea. Breathe deeply. And remind yourself, this is your time to repair, to restore, to be gently held by rest. Then see what shifts tomorrow. Not because you pushed harder, but because you allowed yourself to rest. Because rest is not a pause from progress. It's part of it. Let's talk together. If this spoke to you, if any part of it made you think, that's me, I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed how sleep affects your cravings? Your energy? Your motivation? What small change has helped you sleep better? Or what part still feels hard? Let's share in the comments. Let's learn from each other. And let's remind one another, we're not doing this alone. If this video helped you, share it with a friend. Someone who's walking the same path. Someone who might need a gentle reminder that rest is healing. And that healing is always possible. And if you'd like more soft, thoughtful guidance on living well after 60, don't forget to like and subscribe. Because this is just one of many quiet conversations we'll be having about how to live fully, deeply, and peacefully in the years we've been given.